The Galactic Council's insult. In the year 20,753, Earth was at a crossroads. The Galactic Council, a coalition of powerful and influential species, viewed Earth as nothing more than a quaint relic of a bygone era. To the Council, humans were a minor, outdated civilization, far beneath their lofty standards. Their condescension was not limited to whispers in private chambers. It was broadcasted across the galaxy for all to see. The broadcast began with a grandiose ceremony on the Council's home planet, a show of opulence and authority designed to belittle lesser civilizations. As the camera panned over the grand halls and majestic views, the Council members took their positions, clad in their ceremonial robes. They were ready to deliver a speech that would mark Earth's place in the galactic pecking order. On Earth, millions tuned in to witness what they expected to be a routine diplomatic address. What they saw instead was a humiliating display of scorn. The Council's spokesperson, a towering figure with an air of imperiousness, stepped up to the podium. With a dismissive wave, the spokesperson began to speak, their voice echoing through the galaxy. "Our esteemed Earth," the spokesperson began, their tone dripping with mockery, "has long been a subject of our curiosity. We've observed your so-called advancements with great amusement. It is with this amusement that we must now acknowledge your persistent irrelevance." The words struck Earth like a blow. The broadcast continued, highlighting various technological and scientific achievements of humanity, only to belittle them. The Council dismissed Earth's space programs, advancements in artificial intelligence, and even their historic cultural contributions. They branded these achievements as mere footnotes in the grand narrative of galactic progress. Across Earth, the reaction was immediate and visceral. From the bustling cities to the quiet suburbs, people were glued to their screens, their faces a mix of shock and outrage. The broadcast was not just an insult to their achievements, but a direct challenge to their pride. Governments, scientists, and ordinary citizens felt the sting of the Council's derision, and a wave of anger swept through the planet. Political leaders scrambled to respond. In the high-stress environments of emergency meetings and crisis briefings, the leaders debated how to handle the situation. Some advocated for restraint, suggesting that a measured response would preserve Earth's dignity. Others, however, were fueled by a burning desire to retaliate. They argued that the Council's humiliation was an affront that demanded a powerful response. The media frenzy that followed was unprecedented. News networks across the globe broadcasted special reports, debates, and interviews, all centered around the Galactic Council's insult. Social media exploded with commentary from every corner of the Earth. Hashtags like #EarthRevenge and #GalacticInsult trended worldwide as people voiced their anger and called for action. Amidst the chaos, a sense of unity began to emerge. Despite their differences, people from various walks of life started to come together. The insult from the Galactic Council had struck a chord deep within the human psyche. It was not just about national pride. It was about humanity's place in the universe. The humiliation was felt on a personal level by many, and it sparked a collective desire to prove their worth. In the midst of this growing unrest, a series of clandestine meetings began to take place. Groups of scientists, military leaders, and political figures gathered in secret locations, discussing their next steps. These meetings were marked by a sense of urgency and determination. The consensus was clear. Earth needed to respond, not just to defend its honor, but to show the Galactic Council that humanity was not to be underestimated. As the initial shock began to fade, it was replaced by a resolve to act. The Galactic Council's insult had inadvertently sparked something in humanity, an unyielding drive to reclaim their dignity and assert their place in the galaxy. What had begun as a public humiliation was now the catalyst for a burgeoning rebellion. The seeds of resistance were sown, and the path toward a dramatic confrontation with the Galactic Council had begun to take shape. This was only the beginning. The Galactic Council's attempt to belittle Earth had set the stage for a series of events that would redefine humanity's future and challenge the Council's arrogance in ways they had never anticipated. Rising tensions. The broadcast from the Galactic Council had left Earth in turmoil. What was initially a public humiliation quickly turned into a brewing storm of anger and defiance. In the days following the broadcast, the atmosphere on Earth was charged with a palpable sense of unrest. The once mundane routine of daily life was now overshadowed by a growing desire for retribution. In the halls of power, the response to the Galactic Council's insult was fraught with tension. World leaders and top military officials convened in emergency sessions to address the crisis. The situation was unprecedented, and there was no playbook for how to handle an intergalactic insult of such magnitude. The debate was fierce, with different factions presenting contrasting views on how to respond. Some leaders advocated for a measured approach, arguing that retaliation could provoke a full-scale war that Earth might not be prepared for. They suggested diplomatic channels should be explored, and negotiations with the Galactic Council should be attempted to de-escalate the situation. Their goal was to find a way to restore Earth's dignity without plunging the planet into conflict. Conversely, other leaders and military commanders were adamant that a show of strength was necessary. They saw the Galactic Council's insult as an existential threat to human pride and unity. This faction believed that only a decisive and powerful response would suffice. They called for an immediate review of Earth's military capabilities and an accelerated development of advanced technology to prepare for possible confrontation. As debates raged within government circles, the public's response was no less intense. Across social media, people expressed their frustration and anger with fervor. Petitions demanding action circulated rapidly, and grassroots movements began to form. The once fragmented population now found common ground in their shared indignation. The Galactic Council's insult had ignited a spark of unity among Earth's inhabitants, transcending national and cultural boundaries. In the scientific community, discussions turned toward developing new technologies and enhancing existing ones. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, driven by the need to create advanced weaponry and defense systems capable of standing up to the Galactic Council's forces. The urgency of their mission was underscored by the growing sense that Earth was on the brink of an unprecedented challenge. Amidst the flurry of activity, a significant development occurred. A charismatic figure emerged from the shadows, a seasoned military strategist with a reputation for brilliance and bravery. This individual, known for their exceptional leadership and strategic insight, began to rally support from various factions. Their speeches and actions resonated deeply with those who felt a personal stake in the fight against the Galactic Council. The leader's message was simple yet powerful. Earth had been insulted, and now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Their ability to articulate the collective anger and transform it into a coherent vision galvanized many. Support for their cause spread like wildfire, as people from all walks of life joined the movement. The leader's call to action was met with enthusiasm, and the foundation for organized resistance was laid. As the weeks passed, the tension on Earth continued to rise. The Galactic Council, oblivious to the full impact of their actions, remained focused on their own agendas. Meanwhile, Earth's preparations for a potential conflict accelerated. The once fragmented efforts to respond to the insult began to coalesce into a more unified and formidable strategy. The rising tensions were evident in the streets as well. Protests and rallies became common sights, with people demanding action and showcasing their determination to stand against the Galactic Council's arrogance. The energy was infectious, and the sense of urgency grew as more individuals and groups joined the movement. In summary, the Galactic Council's insult had set off a chain reaction on Earth. The initial shock had transformed into a resolute desire for retribution, driving both the public and leadership to prepare for a potential confrontation. The stage was set for a dramatic escalation as humanity began to organize and ready itself to reclaim its dignity and assert its strength in the face of galactic disdain. The spark of rebellion. As Earth's preparation for a possible confrontation with the Galactic Council gained momentum, a crucial development emerged that would change the course of the unfolding crisis. The growing sense of unity and determination among Earth's inhabitants needed a catalyst to transform their anger into organized action. That catalyst arrived in the form of a charismatic leader, whose presence would become a symbol of the human uprising. This leader, known for their tactical genius and compelling oratory, stepped into the spotlight at a pivotal moment. With a background in military strategy and a deep understanding of human psychology, they had the unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Their name quickly became synonymous with the burgeoning resistance, Commander Alex Morgan. Morgan's rise to prominence began with a series of speeches delivered to both military and civilian audiences. These speeches were broadcasted worldwide, reaching millions. In them, Morgan spoke of the Galactic Council's humiliation and the need for Earth to respond with both pride and power. Their words were not just a call to arms, but an appeal to the core values of humanity: honor, courage, and resilience. In one of their most memorable speeches, Morgan addressed a global audience with a commanding presence. "We have been insulted and dismissed by those who think themselves superior," Morgan declared, their voice resonating with passion. "But we are not just a planet of weaklings and failures. We are Earth's finest, and we will show the galaxy that our spirit cannot be broken." Morgan's ability to articulate the collective frustration and transform it into a coherent vision struck a chord with many. They spoke of harnessing humanity's diverse talents and resources to create a unified force capable of challenging the Galactic Council. Their vision was one of solidarity and strength, and it was this vision that inspired widespread support. As Morgan's influence grew, they began to forge alliances with key figures in various sectors. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders who had previously been working in isolation now came together under Morgan's leadership. The diverse skills and knowledge that each group brought to the table were essential for the rebellion's success. The collaboration was a testament to the unifying power of a common cause. With Morgan at the helm, the resistance began to take shape. A series of clandestine meetings were held in hidden locations across the globe. These meetings were characterized by a sense of urgency and excitement. The plans developed were meticulous, aiming to leverage every advantage Earth had in its fight against the Galactic Council. The resistance focused on several key areas: enhancing military capabilities, developing new technologies, and building a network of covert operations. The first major operation orchestrated by Morgan and their team was a symbolic but powerful demonstration of Earth's resolve. Under the cover of night, a coordinated strike was launched against a series of Galactic Council supply depots located on the fringes of human-controlled space. The operation was executed with precision and stealth, resulting in the successful capture of valuable resources and technology. The impact of this operation was profound. It sent a clear message to the Galactic Council that Earth was no longer a passive player in the galactic stage. The captured supplies were used to bolster the Resistance's capabilities and served as a morale booster for the human forces. The operation also showcased the effectiveness of the newly developed technologies and strategies that had been put into place. In the wake of the successful operation, the Resistance gained further momentum. Recruitment efforts intensified as people from all backgrounds were inspired to join the cause. The rebellion's ranks swelled with individuals eager to contribute to the fight against the Galactic Council's arrogance. The sense of purpose and camaraderie among the rebels became a powerful force, driving them forward in their quest for justice. As the resistance grew stronger, the Galactic Council began to take notice. The initial dismissive attitude towards Earth was replaced by a growing concern. The Council's intelligence reports indicated that Earth was no longer a passive, insignificant player, but a formidable force capable of challenging their dominance. The spark of rebellion, ignited by Commander Alex Morgan, had set in motion a series of events that would define the future of Earth. The once scattered efforts to respond to the Galactic Council's insult were now converging into a cohesive and powerful movement. The rebellion was gaining strength, and the path to reclaiming humanity's dignity was becoming clearer with each passing day. Preparation for war. As the resistance under Commander Alex Morgan's leadership gathered momentum, the focus shifted from mere protest to serious preparation for an all-out war against the Galactic Council. The time for talk had passed. Now was the moment for action. Earth's diverse resources and talents were marshaled to build a formidable defense capable of challenging the powerful Galactic Council. In the midst of the rising tension, Earth's major military and industrial facilities were put on high alert. Previously dormant factories were revived, and production lines shifted from civilian to military use. Engineers and scientists worked around the clock, their efforts focused on developing advanced technologies and weaponry that could stand up to the Galactic Council's formidable forces. One of the first priorities was upgrading Earth's space fleet. The existing ships, while reliable, were no match for the advanced technology of the Galactic Council. Teams of engineers and technicians labored to retrofit old vessels with new propulsion systems, enhanced shielding, and advanced weaponry. The goal was to transform the fleet into a cutting-edge force capable of taking on the Council's ships in direct combat. Alongside these upgrades, research and development teams worked on entirely new technologies. They focused on creating stealth technology to make Earth's ships less detectable, as well as developing powerful new energy weapons and defensive systems. The scientists worked with a sense of urgency, knowing that their innovations could be the key to leveling the playing field. In parallel with technological advancements, the military underwent a rigorous restructuring. Commanders and officers were trained in new tactics and strategies designed specifically to counter the Galactic Council's strengths. This included guerrilla warfare techniques and surprise attack strategies that could exploit the Council's weaknesses. Military drills became a common sight, with troops preparing for various combat scenarios and learning to operate the new equipment. The logistical challenges of preparing for war were enormous. Coordinating the movement of troops, supplies, and equipment across the globe required meticulous planning and organization. A vast network of supply chains was established to ensure that the resistance had the resources it needed, from ammunition and fuel to medical supplies and food. The global effort was impressive, with nations setting aside their differences to contribute to the common cause. Training and recruitment were also critical components of the preparation process. With the resistance rapidly expanding, new recruits were constantly being trained to fill the ranks of the armed forces. Basic training programs were accelerated, and specialized units were formed to handle specific roles, such as space combat, engineering, and intelligence gathering. The sense of purpose and camaraderie among the recruits helped to build a strong, cohesive force. One of the key elements in the preparation for war was the development of a comprehensive intelligence network. The resistance needed to gather as much information as possible about the Galactic Council's operations, strategies, and weaknesses. This involved deploying covert operatives to gather intelligence, intercept communications, and perform reconnaissance missions. The information obtained was crucial for planning future operations and ensuring that Earth's forces could act with precision. As the preparation for war reached its peak, morale among the human forces was high. The successful early operations and the rapid development of new technologies had instilled a sense of confidence and determination. The resistance was no longer a disparate group of rebels, but a unified and well-organized force ready to face the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council, for its part, remained largely unaware of the full extent of Earth's preparations. Their focus was on maintaining control and managing their own internal affairs. They dismissed the growing resistance as a minor annoyance, underestimating the scale of the threat that was now taking shape. In the final stages of preparation, a series of strategic meetings were held to finalize plans for the upcoming conflict. Commander Morgan and their top advisors laid out the tactics and objectives for the initial stages of the war. The plan called for a series of coordinated strikes designed to weaken the Galactic Council's control and disrupt their operations. As Earth's forces prepared to launch their first major offensive, the air was charged with anticipation. The rebellion, fueled by a deep sense of justice and a desire to reclaim their dignity, was on the brink of making its move. The preparation for war had transformed the scattered efforts of a few into a powerful, unified force, ready to take on the Galactic Council and assert humanity's place in the galaxy. The first strike. After months of intense preparation, the moment of reckoning had arrived. Earth's newly fortified forces, under the command of Commander Alex Morgan, were poised to launch their first major offensive against the Galactic Council. The time had come to turn their plans into action and demonstrate their newfound strength. The target was a critical Galactic Council supply depot, located on the outskirts of a remote star system. This depot was a vital hub for the Council, providing essential resources and support to their far-reaching operations. By striking this key location, the Resistance aimed to disrupt the Council's logistical network and deliver a powerful message. Earth was no longer to be underestimated. The operation was meticulously planned. Intelligence gathered by Earth's covert operatives had pinpointed the depot's vulnerabilities, and the Resistance's technological advances had prepared them for a precise and effective strike. The plan called for a surprise attack, utilizing stealth technology and coordinated timing to maximize the impact. As the assault team assembled, the atmosphere was a mix of anticipation and focus. The soldiers, engineers, and pilots who had trained rigorously for this moment were now ready to execute the mission. The Resistance's fleet, equipped with newly upgraded ships and advanced weaponry, was deployed for the operation. The sight of these sleek, formidable vessels gliding through space was a testament to the progress made in their preparation. Under the cover of darkness, the fleet approached the supply depot, their ships cloaked in stealth technology to avoid detection. The Galactic Council had no idea that a storm was about to hit. The strike force moved with precision, navigating through the complex orbital defenses that protected the depot. Every maneuver was calculated, every action meticulously timed. As the fleet closed in on the target, Commander Morgan issued the final orders. The attack was set to begin with a coordinated barrage of energy weapons designed to disable the depot's defenses and communication systems. The initial explosions were designed to create confusion and chaos, making it difficult for the Council's forces to mount an effective response. The first salvo struck with devastating accuracy. The depot's defensive shields flared and then crumpled under the assault, while its communication arrays were knocked offline. The Galactic Council's personnel scrambled to respond, but the surprise and intensity of the attack left them disoriented and vulnerable. Following the initial bombardment, the fleet deployed ground forces to secure the depot. Troops, equipped with advanced combat gear and supported by engineering teams, quickly moved in to capture critical facilities and resources. The ground battle was fierce but short-lived. The Council's defenders, caught off guard and outnumbered, were quickly overwhelmed. The operation was a resounding success. The Resistance seized valuable supplies, including fuel, ammunition, and advanced technology that would bolster their future efforts. The impact of the strike was significant, not just for the material gains, but also for the psychological effect it had on both the Galactic Council and Earth's own forces. News of the victory spread quickly across Earth. The successful attack was celebrated as a symbol of humanity's newfound power and determination. The Resistance's morale soared as the first tangible proof of their capabilities was presented. The victory was not just a military achievement, but a powerful statement that Earth was ready to stand up to the Galactic Council's arrogance. In the Galactic Council's command centers, the reaction was one of shock and concern. The Council's leaders had underestimated the potential of the human resistance, and the attack on their supply depot forced them to reassess their strategy. The breach in their logistics was a blow to their operations, and the Council's overconfidence began to wane. Commander Morgan and their team were hailed as heroes. The success of the first strike demonstrated that Earth's forces were capable of executing complex operations and achieving significant victories. The initial phase of the conflict had shown that the Resistance was not just a nuisance, but a serious threat to the Galactic Council's dominance. As the resistance regrouped and assessed the results of the operation, they began to plan their next moves. The first strike had set the stage for further actions and solidified the rebellion's position. The Galactic Council's control was now under direct threat, and the path to a larger confrontation was clear. Earth's forces, buoyed by their initial success, were prepared to continue their fight for dignity and justice in the galaxy. Galactic Council's retaliation. The Galactic Council's response to Earth's daring first strike was swift and ruthless. The attack on their supply depot had shaken the Council's confidence and disrupted their logistical operations, forcing them to rethink their approach. Determined to reassert their dominance and restore their wounded pride, the Council launched a coordinated retaliation against the human resistance. In the Council's command centers, high-level meetings were held to address the unexpected setback. Council leaders were furious and demanded immediate action. The response strategy was designed to crush the resistance's growing momentum and reestablish the Council's authority. The Council's plan involved a multi-pronged approach, combining military might with psychological warfare, to break Earth's resolve. The first phase of the retaliation was a show of force. A fleet of heavily armed warships, equipped with the latest in Galactic Council technology, was dispatched through Earth's solar system. These ships were a formidable sight, their sleek designs and advanced weaponry reflecting the Council's technological superiority. Their arrival was intended to intimidate and demonstrate the Council's ability to project power across vast distances. The Council's warships established a blockade around Earth, cutting off access to key spaceports and disrupting supply lines. The blockade was a strategic move aimed at isolating Earth and cutting off critical resources that the resistance relied on. The effect was immediate and severe. Civilian and military traffic was halted, causing shortages and logistical challenges for Earth's forces. Simultaneously, the Galactic Council launched a series of targeted strikes against key resistance bases. These strikes were precise and devastating, designed to cripple the rebellion's infrastructure and demoralize its supporters. The attacks were carried out with a combination of advanced weaponry and electronic warfare, making it difficult for Earth's defenses to respond effectively. On the ground, the impact of the Council's retaliation was felt deeply. Several resistance bases were hit hard, and the loss of personnel and equipment was a significant blow. The attacks not only disrupted operations, but also served as a stark reminder of the Galactic Council's formidable power. The psychological effect on the resistance was palpable as fear and uncertainty began to creep in. In response to the Council's retaliation, Commander Alex Morgan and their team faced the challenge of maintaining morale and regrouping. Despite the setbacks, Morgan's leadership remained steadfast. Recognizing the need to counteract the Council's tactics, they called for a rallying of forces and an intensification of the resistance's efforts. Morgan's approach focused on two main strategies: countering the blockade and rebuilding the damaged infrastructure. To address the blockade, the resistance began developing innovative solutions to bypass the Council's controls. This included deploying stealth shuttles and utilizing underground channels to reestablish supply routes. The goal was to mitigate the impact of the blockade and ensure that essential resources continued to flow to the resistance. Simultaneously, efforts were made to rebuild and fortify the bases that had been attacked. Engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to repair and upgrade facilities, incorporating lessons learned from the recent attacks. The resistance also increased their focus on intelligence gathering to anticipate and counter future strikes. The resistance's resilience was put to the test, but the determination to continue the fight was unwavering. Despite the heavy losses and the Council's aggressive tactics, Earth's forces began to adapt and recover. The initial shock of the retaliation gave way to a renewed sense of purpose and a determination to push back against the Galactic Council's oppression. As the confrontation continued, the Galactic Council's leaders faced their own challenges. The unexpected resistance and the mounting cost of their retaliatory actions forced them to reconsider their approach. The conflict was no longer a mere skirmish, but a full-scale war that required a reassessment of strategy and resources. In the midst of the escalating conflict, Earth's resolve remained strong. The retaliatory strikes from the Galactic Council had reinforced the Resistance's commitment to their cause. The battle for supremacy was far from over, and both sides braced themselves for the next phase of the war. The struggle for dignity and independence had become a defining moment in the history of humanity and the galaxy, turning the tide. As the war between Earth and the Galactic Council intensified, the Resistance faced a crucial turning point. After enduring the Council's retaliation and recovering from significant setbacks, Earth's forces were now prepared to strike back with renewed vigor. The key to turning the tide of the conflict lay in leveraging their recent experiences and newfound strengths to outmaneuver the Galactic Council. Commander Alex Morgan, ever the strategic mastermind, recognized that a decisive move was necessary to shift the balance of power. The Resistance had been gathering intelligence on the Galactic Council's operations and vulnerabilities, and it was time to act on that information. Morgan and their team developed a bold plan designed to exploit the Council's weaknesses and deliver a significant blow to their war effort. The plan centered on a high-risk, high-reward operation, a coordinated assault on a major Galactic Council command center located deep within their territory. This command center was critical to the Council's strategic operations, coordinating their fleets and overseeing their military campaigns. Destroying or capturing this facility would severely disrupt the Council's ability to conduct the war and boost Earth's chances of gaining the upper hand. To execute the plan, the Resistance assembled a specialized task force consisting of elite soldiers, engineers, and pilots. They were equipped with the latest technology, including advanced stealth ships and powerful new weaponry developed during their preparations. The goal was to infiltrate the heavily fortified command center, neutralize its defenses, and carry out a precise strike that would cripple its operations. The mission began with the task force making a daring approach through a series of hidden channels and less traveled routes to avoid detection. The stealth technology on their ships allowed them to slip past the Galactic Council's sensors, maintaining the element of surprise. As they neared the command center, the team prepared for the final phase of their plan, a multi-pronged attack that would strike from multiple directions simultaneously. The operation was executed with meticulous precision. The assault team breached the outer defenses and quickly moved to disable the command center's communication systems and defense arrays. The Resistance's engineers worked to plant explosive charges at key locations, ensuring that the command center's infrastructure would be destroyed. Meanwhile, the elite soldiers engaged the Council's defenders, fighting fiercely to secure the facility. The battle was intense, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. However, the Resistance's careful planning and superior tactics began to show their effects. The Galactic Council's forces, caught off guard and overwhelmed by the coordinated attack, struggled to mount an effective defense. The command center's defenses were breached, and the explosive charges were set to detonate. As the final moments of the operation approached, Commander Morgan and their team made their escape, retreating to a safe distance to avoid the blast. The explosives detonated with tremendous force, sending shockwaves through the command center and causing a massive explosion that lit up the surrounding space. The destruction of the facility was a decisive blow to the Galactic Council's command structure. The impact of the operation was profound. The destruction of the command center disrupted the Council's strategic coordination, causing confusion and disarray within their ranks. The loss of such a critical asset forced the Council to scramble to reorganize and compensate for the blow. The Resistance's victory sent a powerful message. Earth was no longer a passive participant, but an active and formidable adversary. In the aftermath of the operation, the Resistance experienced a surge in morale and confidence. The successful strike had proven that they could challenge the Galactic Council on their own turf and achieve significant victories. The tide of the conflict had shifted, and Earth's forces were now better positioned to press their advantage. The Galactic Council, on the other hand, faced mounting pressure. The destruction of the command center was a severe setback that underscored the resilience and capability of the human resistance. The Council's leaders were forced to reassess their strategy and consider how to respond to the newfound threat posed by Earth. With the momentum on their side, Commander Morgan and the Resistance prepared for the next phase of their campaign. The turning of the tide marked a pivotal moment in the war, as Earth's forces continued to build on their successes and push forward with renewed determination. The struggle for supremacy was far from over, but the Resistance's victory had set the stage for a more balanced and fierce conflict with the Galactic Council. The final confrontation. With the Galactic Council reeling from the recent defeat and Earth's forces riding high on their newfound momentum, the stage was set for the final confrontation. Both sides knew that the outcome of this pivotal battle would determine the future of the galaxy. The Resistance, under Commander Alex Morgan, was ready to press their advantage and bring the conflict to a decisive conclusion. The final confrontation was meticulously planned. Intelligence gathered from various sources had revealed the location of the Galactic Council's primary command ship, a massive, heavily armored vessel that served as the nerve center of their operations. Destroying or capturing this command ship would not only cripple the Council's military leadership, but also deliver a psychological blow that could end the war. Commander Morgan and their team knew that this operation would be the most dangerous and complex they had ever undertaken. The command ship was protected by a formidable fleet and a network of defensive systems, making it a nearly impregnable fortress. However, the Resistance had prepared for this challenge, using the experience gained from previous engagements to devise a plan that would give them the best chance of success. The operation began with a series of diversionary tactics designed to draw the Galactic Council's forces away from the command ship. Small, agile strike teams were sent to carry out hit-and-run attacks on key Council installations, creating chaos and confusion. This diversion allowed the main assault force to approach the command ship without facing the full brunt of its defenses. As the Resistance fleet closed in on the command ship, the true scale of the challenge became evident. The command ship was flanked by a formidable armada of warships and protected by layers of energy shields and weapon systems. The Galactic Council had clearly anticipated an attack and had reinforced their defenses to maximum capacity. Undeterred, Commander Morgan issued the order to commence the assault. The Resistance fleet engaged the Council's forces in a fierce space battle, exchanging volleys of energy blasts and missile fire. The engagement was intense, with both sides suffering significant losses. The Galactic Council's warships, though powerful, struggled to cope with the determined and well-coordinated attacks from Earth's forces. While the fleet engaged in battle, a specialized team of elite soldiers and engineers made their way towards the command ship. Their mission was to infiltrate the vessel, disable its internal defenses, and plant explosive charges at critical locations. The team faced heavy resistance as they fought their way through the command ship's corridors, but their training and resolve kept them focused on their objective. As the team reached the command ship's control center, they encountered fierce opposition from the Council's elite guards. A brutal firefight erupted, with both sides fighting for control of the critical infrastructure. Despite the intense combat, the Resistance team succeeded in planting the explosives and setting the timer. With their mission accomplished, they began their evacuation, racing against the clock to escape the impending explosion. Back outside, the battle reached its climax. The Resistance fleet, having inflicted significant damage on the Galactic Council's forces, launched a final concentrated assault on the command ship. The combined firepower of Earth's ships was directed towards the vessel's weakened points, pushing through its defenses and causing critical damage. As the timer on the explosives counted down, the command ship began to show signs of severe structural failure. The Resistance fleet, now fully engaged in the final assault, pressed their advantage, determined to see the mission through to the end. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrived. The explosives detonated with a cataclysmic explosion, tearing through the command ship and causing it to break apart. The destruction was immense, sending debris and fireballs into space. The loss of the command ship and its command structure was a devastating blow to the Galactic Council's war effort. With the command ship destroyed, the Galactic Council's forces were thrown into disarray. The Resistance fleet pressed their advantage, targeting remaining Council ships and securing their victory. The final confrontation had been a hard-fought and costly battle, but it marked the turning point that would lead to the end of the conflict. The victory was celebrated as a historic achievement for Earth and its forces. The Galactic Council, reeling from the loss and unable to sustain their operations, began to withdraw. The path to peace and a new era of galactic relations was now within reach. The final confrontation had not only secured Earth's place in the galaxy, but also marked a new beginning for humanity's role in the broader universe. A new galactic order. The aftermath of the final confrontation marked a significant turning point in the galaxy. With the Galactic Council's primary command ship destroyed and their forces in disarray, Earth's resistance had emerged victorious. The battle had not only ended the Council's dominance, but also opened the door to a new era of galactic relations. Commander Alex Morgan and their team were now faced with the challenge of shaping a new galactic order. In the weeks following the victory, the Resistance worked diligently to stabilize the situation. The destruction of the Aegis had caused widespread chaos, and many Council-held territories were left without effective leadership. Earth's forces, now the de facto power in the galaxy, took on the responsibility of restoring order and addressing the power vacuum left by the Council's collapse. The first priority was to establish contact with the various alien species and planets that had been under the Council's control. Many of these worlds had suffered under the Council's rule and were eager for a change. Diplomatic teams, led by experienced negotiators, were dispatched to build alliances and foster cooperation. The goal was to create a coalition of planets that could work together to ensure peace and stability in the galaxy. Commander Morgan played a key role in this process. Their leadership and strategic acumen had been instrumental in the Resistance's victory, and now they were seen as a symbol of hope and renewal. Morgan and their team engaged in negotiations with representatives from various alien worlds, working to address their concerns and integrate them into the new galactic framework. One of the first major steps was the formation of the Galactic Reconciliation Council. This new governing body was established to replace the defunct Galactic Council and was composed of representatives from Earth and the allied planets. The Reconciliation Council's mission was to oversee the transition to a new era of cooperation and ensure that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. The Reconciliation Council worked to address the issues left by the Council's rule. They implemented policies to promote economic recovery, restore infrastructure, and provide aid to worlds affected by the conflict. Efforts were made to ensure that all voices were heard and that decisions were made with the collective good in mind. As the new order took shape, there were challenges to overcome. The transition from a galaxy ruled by a single power to a cooperative alliance required careful management and diplomacy. Some factions resisted the changes, clinging to old loyalties and power structures. The Reconciliation Council faced the difficult task of addressing these dissenting voices while maintaining the momentum of progress. Despite the challenges, the new galactic order began to take root. The emphasis on diplomacy and cooperation fostered a sense of unity and shared purpose. The scars of the conflict remained, but there was a collective determination to build a better future. Earth's role in the galaxy had transformed from a distant, isolated world to a central player in a cooperative interstellar community. Commander Morgan and their team continued to play a crucial role in this transformation. They traveled to various worlds, participating in diplomatic missions and offering support to the new galactic institutions. Their experience and leadership were invaluable in guiding the galaxy through this period of change. The new galactic order brought with it a sense of optimism and possibility. The fall of the Galactic Council had shown that change was possible and that even the most entrenched powers could be challenged. The galaxy was now a place where cooperation and mutual respect were the guiding principles, and the lessons learned from the conflict served as a reminder of the value of peace. As the years passed, the legacy of the conflict and the formation of the new galactic order became a defining chapter in the history of the galaxy. Earth's resistance had not only defended their world, but had also set a precedent for how power and diplomacy could be used to shape a better future. The galaxy, once a battleground of conflict, was now on the path to a new era of unity and collaboration.